I'm Mags Natterson. In 2005, I discovered I was pregnant with my second child. Halfway through my pregnancy, we transfused Jessie with 30 mils of blood, something quite negligible to the average person. But to my baby, that was the gift of life. 40 minutes of me starting to hemorrhage, that Jessie was already out in theatre via an emergency C-section. And I kept thinking, is she even going to survive that? And I remember seeing her when she was born. So, God. I myself had lost so much of blood that I had to be transfused with several units of blood. I think I awoke on day 2 to be wheeled to ICU, to be able to hold her for the first time. And even when she did persist through pregnancy, I was told that when she was born, she probably wouldn't survive more than 48 hours. I was also told by one specialist, Jessie may never walk or talk. Today, I have a 10-year-old who can neither shut up nor sit still. Ever since her birth, Jessie has required regular ongoing blood transfusions. Don't underestimate what your little donation can do. And I can't forget that I too have blood donors to thank. To be here today and to be able to have seen my children grow up as beautifully as they have. I will always be eternally grateful to blood donors for giving the gift of life. Donate blood today and give someone a tomorrow.
You can give someone a tomorrow. You can give someone a gift of life. Why, you may ask? Well, South Africa is currently experiencing a severe blood shortage. The situation is so bad that hospitals have to be instructed to cut back on non-urgent surgery until such time that the situation improves. On the other hand, there are approximately 4,300 South African adults and children awaiting a life-saving organ and cornea transplant. So just how can you give someone a tomorrow, a gift of life? Well, stay tuned because today we discuss blood and organ donation. We have a panel of guests that features the South African National Blood Service, the Organ Donor Foundation, a donor recruitment and education specialist, a regular platelet donor, and a bilateral lung transplant recipient. Now this panel will take us through understanding the need for you to become a donor, the process involved in donation, and simple steps you need to follow in order to become a donor and make a difference in other people's lives. So sit back, relax, and learn from the show ahead. You can interact with us on our Facebook page, SABC Health Talk, and on Twitter at SABC Health Talk. I'm Dr. Sello Mutaung, and this is Health Talk. Right, so to help us understand more about the need for us to donate blood or organs, it's a pleasure to welcome our special guest today. First up is Vanessa Raju. Vanessa is a communications manager from the South African National Blood Service. Welcome to Health Talk, Vanessa.
Thanks for having me.
Right, and next to Vanessa we have Gillian Walker. Gillian is a National Liaison Officer from the Organ Donor Foundation. Welcome to Health Talk, Gillian.
Thank you.
Right, perhaps let's start with you, Vanessa. Why should people donate blood?
I think it's vitally important for people to understand that we can't get blood from anywhere other than with the public voluntarily donating.
Mm-hmm.
And without the help of volunteers, we're unable to help patients.
Yeah.
And as you know, the need for blood is vitally important in saving lives.
Yeah. Well, let's get a little deeper into that need. I mean, in my introduction, I said, there's a severe shortage. Just tell us how bad the shortage is and what is the extent of that shortage?
Well, we have certain periods in the year when we talk of shortages, and this is generally during the holiday periods when schools usually close and the festive periods.
Yeah.
And that results in the fact that not many people are donating.
Yeah.
I think the public often believes that it's because there's more road accidents or there's more critically ill patients,
Yeah.
but it really is because there is a shortage of collection. So the demand still exists.
Yeah.
So we always aim to collect 3,000 units of blood every single day. And
Yeah.
what happens in these periods is we don't manage to meet that target.
Yeah.
Hence, there is a shortage.
Right, okay. We're going to come back because we believe that there's different types of bloods and what have you. We'll come back to it. Let me just, get Gillian to come in here. Gillian, why should people donate organs?
There's a critical shortage of organs. Thousands and thousands of people requiring organ donation, and if you think about it, once you passed away, you don't have a use for your organs anymore, and you can save lives by becoming an organ donor.
Okay, but what sort of organs? I mean, are there particular types perhaps that are in severe shortages compared to the others? in my introduction, I mentioned cornea as one of those. Just take us through what people normally donate and what is in great need.
You can donate seven organs.
Yeah.
There's heart, 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, liver, and pancreas. And there's a need for all of them. There is probably more of a need for kidneys because of lifestyle diseases like diabetes and hypertension, but there's actually a need for all organs. And there's tissue as well, like you mentioned, cornea, also skin, bone, and heart valves.
Yeah.
And there's a shortage of all of them.
Yeah, talk about bone. In fact, we're going to get a little more about stem cell donation from one of our guests, but that's later on. Vanessa, take us through the different types of bloods. We believe that some people are Group A, some are Group B, and just take us through that.
So we have several groups of blood, but the 4 main blood groups we've got is A, AB, B, and O. And generally, these are the masses of our public that belong to these blood groups. When we talk of shortages, it's usually around the O blood group.
Yeah.
O blood donors are usually known as our universal donors. So what that really means is their blood can be transfused to patients of any other blood group. So the demand becomes a lot higher, especially when doctors don't have a chance to find out what blood group a patient belongs to. So they would order an O blood type. So you can understand why there'll be a shortage often with that blood group. And then we have your A blood type, which is most of our donors who belong to this blood type, and AB. We tend to encourage these donors to rather become platelet donors, which is a different...
Why is that?
Well, because there is the A blood is matched with a certain A group patient, and because we have many people in the public who belong to this blood group, we tend to have a higher day stock in terms of those blood types. So it would be encouraging for them to think about becoming platelet donors, and platelets is a product in your blood that we usually extract when we do the processing of the blood, and then they actually just donate the platelets that can be used for patients.
I see. Gillian, we spoke now about the different types. Yes, you took us through that, and of course almost all of these are in great demand. But who can donate?
Well, anybody can register to be an organ donor. There aren't tests done at the time of registering, and tests are done. Comprehensive tests are done at the time of death to see if you're a suitable organ donor or not. So anybody can register. You don't have to worry about if you're on chronic medication, if you have a chronic disease. If you want to be an organ donor, register.
Okay, so you don't have to worry about whether or not you're healthy or not. You can just register to become
exactly.
Now, okay. So there's 2 types of donors, I believe. Those living donors and cadaver donors. Just take us through.
Cadaver donors are donors once you've passed away, where your family will give consent after you've passed away, and living donors are where you donate either a kidney or a part of your liver to a family member. We call it living related donor, because you can live with just one kidney, and you can live with a lobe, the smaller lobe of your liver being removed. Okay.
Vanessa, what about blood? I mean, do you need to worry about whether or not you're healthy to become a donor?
Well,
who can donate, who cannot?
Well, our minimum requirements to become blood donors is an age requirement. So you need to be between the ages of 16 and 65, weigh a minimum of 50 kilos, and obviously be in good health and live a sexually safe lifestyle. And yes, people are deferred for various reasons if they're on chronic medication or live a sexually risky lifestyle or participate in recreational drug use. So we have questions in our questionnaire, and these questions are really designed to look at the safety and the risk factor of the person donating. And we often get donors who are very upset when they're turned away because the intention is to donate. But we want our donors to understand that their safety and the safety of the blood is vitally important to us. And so if we know that there might be risks in you donating, or you might be on medication that could affect you or affect the patient that will get your blood, we would defer you for a period of time, or sometimes you would be deferred permanently.
Are there any dangers to donating blood?
No. I think we often find that people have fear. Fear plays a big factor in people preventing themselves from donating. And I often pose a question to our donors is, if your loved one, your child or your parent would need blood, would you say, I can't donate because I'm scared of needles? Or if you needed the blood yourself, transfused to you for your survival, And you know, if you put yourself in that situation, you'll kind of reach out and understand how this blood affects the lives of other people. And in terms of viruses, no, it's a very safe process. There's always a new needle used. It's discarded safely, so you won't be able to pick up any virus from donating blood.
And you're not going to get any sick afterwards or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Well, Gillian, I mean, obviously, when you're donating at the time of death, I mean, we can't talk about side effects, but let's talk about living donors now. Are there any possible dangers to, you know, somebody donating, say, a kidney?
You would have comprehensive tests done again to see if you were a suitable donor. So the medical professionals would assess if it's safe or not.
Yeah.
If there's any risk that donating would cause you any harm, they wouldn't do it.
Are there any, I mean, look, obviously we're talking about the need, that there's obviously a great need for organs. Are there any problems associated with, you know, getting people to register to become organ donors?
There are myths associated with getting people to register. Some people, they're concerned that donating would disfigure their bodies. But donating it's like any operation that you might have. And so the body is treated with utmost respect, and you can actually have an open casket funeral if that's what your family decides to do. There's also a myth that donating would delay the funeral, but it's actually a very short window of opportunity that they have to remove the organs, so it doesn't take up too much time. Okay.
We're going to talk a little more about the procedure of donation, and but that's a little later. For now, we have to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we now focus a lot more on how to donate blood. Please stay with us.
Did you go to heaven?
Kelvin is the one who created all this.
What are you fighting over? Us?
If there is 10 million in my account, it will be in the front page the next day.
Do you have 10 million?
Oh, Jesus, hold my hand. Hallelujah.
It's happening right here on Question Time today.
Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News Channel.
Are celebrating this Junjunjis thing like a festival.
What has happened to us?
I'm an African man. I don't celebrate death. June 16 was the day in which people died.
We were sinking deeper and deeper in a quagmire of hardship.
What we must do, we must learn.
It's so emotional. We should change this thing.
Education is an important thing that is a master key, can open any locked doors.
June 16 should be a day in which not only young people, but South Africa should sort of take a reflection and say, where do we come from? Where are we? Where are we getting to?
From the moment you donate blood, it begins a long journey through these labs at the South African National Blood Service. Here, each unit of blood is carefully tested and processed before it's transported to hospital blood banks for patients in need of blood products. The blood arrives strapped to ice packs in specially temperature-controlled boxes.
So when the blood arrives, we would open these hampers and check for temperature. Temperature control is very, very important. The blood needs to be transported at 20 to 24 degrees Celsius, and we've got containers that are specially validated for that purpose. Then we would scan each and every unit in that hamper onto our Meditech computer system. After we've done that, the units are centrifuged. During centrifugation, all the various components in your blood separates. In your blood, you've got red cells, you've got platelets, white cells, and the plasma.
Before the donated blood can be declared safe, it goes through a number of tests in this testing lab. This machine tests for the presence of antibodies that can indicate HIV, hepatitis C, hepatitis B, and syphilis. The testing vials are barcoded and carefully recorded. Only blood that tests negative for all of these diseases will be given to blood banks and hospitals.
The public mustn't think that whenever they donate blood, we just take the blood as it is and just go to issue it to a patient who's in need in the hospital. There's a lot of work going into that blood before it could be used by the patient. So we take pride in what we're issuing, because our aim is to save life, not just to issue quantity blood, but to issue quality blood.
This centrifugation machine revolves 3,000 times per minute, which helps the heavier blood components separate from the lighter components.
After centrifugation, we would then take the units out of the centrifuge and load it onto a separation device. The separation device will then allow us to place the plasma into a bag, the red cells into another bag, and then the rest of the components known as the buffer coat, which contains mostly the platelets, is left in the original bag.
1 unit of blood can save up to 3 lives because the lab technicians are able to separate it out into 3 different parts. These components are then used to treat different illnesses.
1 unit of blood, ultimately you can help one oncology patient that requires platelets. You could help a baby that requires filtered red cell concentrates. And you would also maybe be able to help a patient that burnt wounds that requires plasma. So there's a wide variety of uses for the various components.
The South African National Blood Service encourages donors to donate regularly so that the country can have access to a steady supply of blood products for patients in need.
We've got targets that we set for the year, and it's important for us to collect blood on a weekly basis, not just in the beginning of the month, because the red cell concentrates don't last that long. So there's always a shortage. We never have more than 3 days stock in our inventory department. So yeah, we encourage donors to donate regularly.
Welcome back. So just how easy is it then to become a blood donor, and how can one become a regular donor? We've just seen what happens to the blood when it gets to the laboratory. Now we're going to focus a lot more on what actually happens to you when you donate. Now, we still have our guest, Vanessa Raju, Communications Manager at the South African National Blood Service. But it's a pleasure again to welcome another special guest, Angus McCallum, who's a regular platelet donor. Angus, welcome to Health Talk.
Thank you very much.
Right. Perhaps let's start with you. You're a regular platelet donor. Tell us what motivated you to want to become a platelet donor, and how long have you been doing it?
Well, I started off, my sister is a nursing sister,
right,
and she encouraged me to donate.
Right.
So I went and did that, and it was so easy. Mm-hmm. And then I joined the army, and obviously there's a need there, and I was encouraged to carry on. Mm-hmm. And so that was whole blood. And then later on, I was reading a book called Eric about a chap who had leukemia, young guy. And at about 4 o'clock in the morning, I had about 25 pages to go, so I put it down. I had to go to work. The next morning, I went to work, took the book with me, and after I finished reading the 25 pages and stopped crying, I picked up the phone and said, where can I donate platelets? And I went along. And that was a good 30 or more years ago.
Sure, it's been a long, long time, eh?
It has been a long time.
How often do you do it? How often do you donate?
Every month, once a month, every month. There was a period you could do it every 2 weeks, but they have stopped that until they've got a real demand, and then they encourage you to come again. So once a month is the regular.
Very encouraging story, isn't that so, Vanessa?
Absolutely.
Now, okay, obviously the aim here is to show people the process involved in donating blood, and to obviously debunk whatever myths are there. First of all, what actually happens. You spoke a little bit about lifestyle of anybody wanting to become a donor. Now, what happens, just take us through the process. What happens when you first report to the blood donation station?
So I covered the basic requirements, the age limit, the weight limit. And
Right.
when you've decided that you've met those requirements and you wish to donate blood, you would come through to any mobile drives. As you know, we often place ourselves at schools, we come to companies, we at shopping malls.
Yeah.
You'd be required to complete a questionnaire. The questionnaire looks at your personal details as well as your health and your lifestyle. The questions are designed for your safety. So we do ask some personal questions, but it really is to assess the safety of the
How
blood.
long are those questions? Long, boring questions?
No, well, you know, it's necessary to
Right,
complete.
right.
And I think what's vitally important is the honesty from the donor in terms of answering those questions.
Are there certain particular things that they should disclose?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, for
And what do
example,
you-
have you had more than one sexual partner in the last 6 months?
Yeah.
It may seem personal, but there's a reason for it because of the lifestyle risks involved with diseases like HIV.
Yeah.
So we ask those questions again because of the safety of the blood, and we will defer people. We defer people who have new sexual partners that are less than 6 months into this relationship. And the reason for these deferrals is really to look at the window period of viruses. As you know, if you are in a sexual relationship with someone and you come through to donate blood a week later, you wouldn't be able to pick up these viruses in your blood test that soon.
Yeah.
So the deferral period allows for the window period of the virus to show itself.
Okay.
So when you return 6 months later, we're able to pick that up in your tests.
Okay. These questions are personal. I mean, what about privacy? Often, it's just a tent or a marquee, small one,
Well,
Is there privacy?
Absolutely. I mean, once you complete the questionnaire, you have a one-on-one interview with a nurse, and the nurse goes through it with you to make sure that you've understood the questions and you've answered it correctly.
Yeah.
We check your blood pressure, your iron levels, and if you've met those requirements, then you donate.
Yeah.
Of course, all information is private and confidential. It's not open to the public. No one can access your information from SANVIS. So, rest assured that we don't judge people. We really ask those because of the safety involved.
Perhaps let's ask Angus, is it a painful process?
Not at all. Firstly, with the form, no pain at all. It's a tick box, so that's easy. And then when it comes to the needle, the nursing sisters are very good. We're very lucky. And you get used to it. They put you in the needle and you lie back and get offered coffee. And once the donation is done, that's it.
Talk about being offered coffee. Are there any other rewards that people should expect for giving blood?
I think the reward of knowing you're saving a life should be the biggest reward.
Right.
But obviously, we do offer our donors biscuits and juice when they come through. And this is really to replenish the fluids and get your energy levels after donating blood.
Okay. All right. And you don't get any sick afterwards or anything like that. You walk in and you walk out exactly the same.
You're encouraged to eat before a donation.
Right.
And as long as you've done that, you're fine. I've never had any real problems at all.
Right. He mentioned that he donates about once a month. How often should people donate? And if I donate today, how long do I have to wait until I can donate again?
Okay, so there's a differentiation. We have platelet donors, which is a different type of donation. So you're donating just platelets. And we've got whole blood donors, which the majority of our donors belong to whole blood.
Yeah.
So whole blood donors can donate once every 56 days, and your platelet donors once every 4 weeks.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And platelet donors are done at specific centers because we do require different type of machinery and equipment to assist in the donation process.
All right. So you don't have like a registry of donors or anything. In other words, somebody watching this program saying, I want to become a donor. What should that person do?
Contact South African National Blood Service, and if you meet those requirements and you come through and you're well on the day to donate, you become a blood donor. I think what's important for the public to understand is to become committed regular blood donors.
Yeah.
We often find people would meet us at a shopping mall and do it just once. And we tend to not be able to help patients with that one donation because we don't have a history of this donor. Again, it comes back to the window periods. If you donate once and you don't return, we're unable to retest your blood and assess whether there is it is safe enough to donate to patients. So regular blood donors, once every 56 days, or a minimum of 4 times a year, is what we encourage our donors.
Okay. Your final message to viewers?
I think the best thing to do is understand that it's one thing that you can give away for free. It doesn't matter how wealthy or otherwise that you are, you can give it away. And it's very easy. You just make a habit of being a donor and go regularly, and that's it. And it's something I think one can be proud of. You really can give it away for free, and you can help a lot of people. And we need it all the time, not just where, you know, there are massive campaigns around about Easter and Christmas period. But we need blood all the time. And if you make it a habit, then it's just part of your life.
Well, Angus McCallum, regular platelet donor, thank you so much for your time. Very encouraging words. And Vanessa, well, thank you so much for explaining the process. And yeah, wish you well.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Time for a quick commercial break. After the break, we now focus a lot more on organ donation. Please stay with us.
Why are electoral systems important in a democracy?
We think of democracy as voting people into office. The other side of the coin is that we would be more empowered and more accountable in politics if we could do the opposite, is vote them out when they don't deliver.
Politics is about who gets what, when and how.
If you look up on the internet as to how the head of state is chosen, it says monarchy.
We should not refer to an election as a contest.
So we should not shy away from the fact that an election is a contest. Of course, I do admit that it's not a bloody contest, or it shouldn't be a bloody contest.
It shouldn't be a bloody
people,
contest.
You know, fight and, of course, and
it should also not be a beauty contest.
Then it shouldn't be also a beauty contest either.
Swiss people, for example, can travel internationally with a cantonal passport, not even a national one. That's like us traveling on a Free State passport, for example.
Alishaya ipilongo lezwakala ipilongo abantu baphendula but
things of this nature do not happen. I can have any copy for you.
We are in this to win it.
We love the people of South Africa
and serve our people's interest in opposition.
It's an admission that they will not win.
You're watching the Sunday Live Battlegrounds 2016 election debate.
Indeed, why take someone with you when you die? It is often said that one organ donation can save 7 lives. Let's understand just how from our special guests. We still have Gillian Walker, National Liaison Officer from the Organ Donor Foundation. And we're now joined by, I must say this correct, Siobhan Scullen, who is a bilateral lung transplant recipient. Welcome to Health Talk, Siobhan.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Let's perhaps start with you. You have just, I believe, about 7 months ago been lucky enough to be donated a pair of lungs.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us, let's talk about before now. What happened to you?
So I have a genetic condition called cystic fibrosis. So I was born with this condition, and so over the course of my life, I've just been chronically ill consistently, which sort of the worst effects of cystic fibrosis involve consistent lung infections. And over time, these lung infections lead to permanent lung damage. So I was frequently in hospital throughout my life, and towards the last sort of few years, I was spending more and more time in hospital on intravenous antibiotics and was on oxygen 24 hours a day. A flight of stairs was enough to basically, almost have me pass out because I just couldn't breathe. And it was at this stage that I was listed for a bilateral lung transplant because my treatment options basically had come to an end in terms of, transplant was the only alternative option available to me.
But was this early in childhood or later on? What sort of impact did this have on you?
So, I'd been sick my whole life, but I'd had a relatively normal childhood in the context of being chronically ill, and I was able to go to university, and so within the context of being sick, I did try and live as normal life as possible. But it was, I would say, within the last 3 to 4 years that it became unmanageable, and I'd had to stop work. I'd moved back in with my parents, and my mom especially and my dad were taking care of me 24 hours a day. I was very dependent on my family for support because I couldn't, grocery shopping, for example, the most simple things that we take for granted, it was just too much for me.
Yeah. So at some point then you got onto the waiting list.
Yes.
And when was that?
So I was listed February of 2014.
Right.
And waited about 20 months before I eventually got the call.
Yeah.
So that's during that time it's a very stressful time.
I can imagine.
Yes, because there's no guarantee that you will get that call at the end of the day. So, and you're very scared, even for the, if you do get that call, it's a terrifying thing that you're now going to have to go through a transplant. But I guess even more terrifying than the transplant is not getting the call at all. So it's just a very, very stressful time.
Julian, let's talk a little bit about waiting lists. There's sometimes controversy, surrounding these waiting lists to say who makes it to the waiting list and who makes it to the top of the waiting list and so on. Just take us through how these lists are compiled.
The lists are actually held by the transplant centres, not by the Organ Donor Foundation.
Right.
So we're not involved in that in any way.
Right.
It does depend who gets the transplant. That depends on the correct matching, blood type, various other things. So getting to the top of the list, it depends on things other than just being first on the list.
Okay.
But there are so many people, there are thousands and thousands of people waiting, and actually there are a lot of people who don't make it onto the list because they don't have access to the facilities to keep them alive whilst they wait.
Yeah. She waited about 50 months, you said?
20,
20.
So nearly 2 years.
Nearly 2 years. On the average, how long do people wait for, or does it depend as well? Does it differ?
It really depends. It varies so much.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who don't get their transplant in time, and some where there's dialysis for kidney failure to keep the patients alive while they wait. So some people are on dialysis for up to 12 years. But it's also important to note that a lot of people, I believe a lot of patients are turned away. Around 75% of patients don't get access to dialysis. They're turned away. So the waiting list doesn't really give us an indication of how many people require organ transplants in South Africa.
Okay. So then tell us about, obviously, you know, you've taken us through that sad story around, you know, the impact that, you know, being on a waiting list has on you. Then what happened to you? When you were notified that you have a donor?
Yes.
Take us through that.
Well, as much as it's an exciting time, as I sort of mentioned earlier, it's also terrifying. So when I got that call, I think I cried, and I'm not sure that there were tears of joy initially. It was just complete terror.
Yeah.
And I was admitted that evening, had the transplant early the next morning.
Yeah. Mind telling us where?
I'm at Mill Park Hospital.
Okay.
It's I think the only lung transplant centre in South Africa. And so I was in ICU for just under a month. And I actually managed to get out of hospital within a month, which is not bad going. Although I had quite a complicated surgery.
Yeah.
And yeah, although the hospital was difficult and recovery is particularly difficult with lung transplant, since I've been out of hospital, everything's just been going from strength to strength, and I feel absolutely amazing now.
Did you get to know who the donor was?
No. So they keep that the donor and the recipient remain anonymous.
Right.
I think to protect both the donor family and the recipient.
Right.
Although I have written a letter to my donor family anonymously, to try and say thank you, although I'll never.
How did you do that? Through the Organ Donor Foundation?
Through my transplant coordinator.
I see, okay.
So I've never made contact with them, but she will pass the letter on to the family.
Right. So what's your life now then, after receiving a new pair of lungs?
It's amazing. I can breathe, I think is the most obvious thing.
Right.
And slowly just putting my life back together again. I've been able to move out of my parents' house and so regaining my independence, looking to go back to work again, just having a bit of fun, which I haven't been able to have, spending a lot of time with my friends, and I can travel again, because obviously when you're on the waiting list, you have to remain within a 5-hour radius of the transplant centre at all times. So for 2 years, I couldn't really go anywhere. And now I don't have to worry about load shedding because I'm not on oxygen anymore. And I'm just enjoying just the small things in life even.
Great stuff. You're physically active?
Yes, I walk the park walk, so it's about a 5-kilometre walk.
Yeah.
And I've started dancing again, which was something that I've always loved to do. But obviously when I got too sick, I couldn't manage anymore. So I've gone back to dancing, which is my soul. And so just really enjoying life again. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, I mean, this is amazing. This is now, I mean, listening to this, you get to understand the impact that just donating an organ can have in someone's life. So perhaps let's just start that story again around myths. We've seen just, the impact that donating has. Are there possible myths that are out there that people, are not donating because of all sorts of beliefs?
Some people believe that if they register to be an organ donor, that they're almost going to be hunted down for their organs.
Yeah.
And that's quite a common question that I'm asked. But it's important to note that the organ donor database is kept confidential.
Right.
That no one will know if you've decided to be an organ donor. But I would recommend speaking about it, and it's very, very important to tell your family that you've registered to be an organ donor so that they can honor your wish once you've passed away, because your family still needs to give consent after the time of death.
Yeah. Okay, well, Siobhan Scullen, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
And please take good care of those lungs.
Yes, these are my babies.
All right.
I will look after them.
But yes, thank you so much for sharing the story with us, and good luck for your future.
Thank you very much.
We're going to continue with you just now after the break. After the break, we'll learn more about now how to become an organ donor. Please stay with us.
there are no permanent enemies or friends in politics.
I agree with Professor Siepe fully. Do people still preserve the meaning?
They have no clue what it meant to be black under apartheid.
Acting Police Commissioner Phahlane dropped a bombshell in Parliament this week when he suggested there could be a possible cover-up. What do you think of the story? What kind of problems were those, Vu, if I can just get in there quickly?
Every corner or sphere of our lives has become a site of struggle.
Watch Media Monitor with me, Alicia Jali, Sundays at 9 a.m. only on the SABC News channel.
David brought back black and white photography to life through the Zanzibar exhibition.
I'm a fanatic for tones, and I love the kind of tones, the gradients and the greys, and it never bores me.
We're representing South Africa. I mean, we're flying the flag there, so it's a beautiful thing for us.
The dance floor is always lit when DJ Black Coffee hits the decks. He was praised for his appearance at this year's Coachella Music Festival in California. And he recently bagged the International Achievement Award at the 2016 Summers. Catch trends for that 1 hour weekly dose of arts and entertainment news every Saturday from 12 to 1.
Welcome back to Health Talk. So we're talking organ donation. So what simple steps can one follow to register as an organ donor? Well, let's be enlightened by our special guests. We have Gillian Walker, National Liaison Officer from the Organ Donor Foundation. And we're now joined by another special guest, Mandisa Ndovela. Mandisa is a donor recruitment and education specialist based at the Sunflower Fund. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Welcome to Health Talk.
Hello.
All right.
Thanks for having
Well,
me.
maybe let's start with you. Tell us what you do.
I am the donor recruitment and education specialist for the Sunflower Fund. And what the Sunflower Fund does, we educate and register potential stem cell donors for the South African Bone Marrow Registry, so that we help people who have leukemia and other blood disorders.
So you focus mainly on stem cells and
that's
bone
correct.
marrow, yeah?
Yes, we focus on stem cells, and our basic mission is to populate the South African Bone Marrow Registry, so that there are more people who are able to donate the stem cells, because you have to be a match to someone in order for you to start donating your stem cells.
Tell us more about the registry now. I mean, what have you got targets? Are you meeting those targets? Take us through that.
Okay. So according to the Bone Marrow Registry, the people who are on the registry at the moment, there's about 71,000 odd people on the registry, and of which ethnicity is a very big part of becoming a stem cell donor. So because it is related to your DNA, your genetics, so a black person cannot donate to a white person, vice versa, that type of thing. So on the registry at the moment, we have about 71,000 people on it, and of that, about 69% are white people. So the people of color are not very well represented on the registry. But the other big thing is that the chances of you getting a donor outside of your family are 1 in 100,000. So if we've only got 71,000 people on the registry, there is an important need for everyone actually to join the registry, so that we meet the odds.
Okay, so obviously it's the Sunflower Fund and organization like yours that go out there to encourage people to become
Yes,
donors.
we encourage people.
So say somebody is watching this program and says, okay, well, I'm inspired by what I hear. How then do I become a bone marrow donor or stem cell donor?
Okay, so how you do it? You'd either call our call center, or we normally join the South African Blood Services on their blood drives, the mobile blood drives. So we are sometimes on, well, we obviously pick the drives we go to, but we come along with them. So if you're there already donating blood, it's very easy. We just take 2 samples of your blood, tissue type that, store that on the South African Bone Marrow Registry so that we have a bigger registry. So yeah, it's that simple.
Julian, let's get back to you now about, how to become an organ donor. Or in other words, to register as a regular organ donor. What should you do?
It's very quick and very easy to register.
Yeah.
You can either call our toll-free line, which is 0800 22 6611, or you can go onto our website, which is www.odf.org.za, and it is very quick.
We'll display all those details on the screen later on, yeah?
Okay.
And then, so it's just a matter of a simple telephone call, yeah?
Yeah. And once you register, you will receive an organ donor card to keep in your wallet, which just states that you are an organ donor, and it has your details on the back so that you can be identified.
Okay, so it's just a simple card. There's no bracelet or anything like that. I mean, if I register as an organ donor and I get involved in a motor vehicle accident, I would imagine time is important there.
It is.
So how should people know that I'm an organ donor?
Well, it would be kept in, if you keep it in your wallet, you can be identified, and you also get a sticker to keep on your ID. So if you are in an accident, assuming whoever...
Just hold it up. I want the camera to just zoom in there and just say, so you have a little sticker underneath your face on your ID?
Yeah, and you'll get 3 stickers, one for your ID, one for your driver's license, and for your medical aid card, if you like.
Yeah. And just let's see again what it looks like. Yeah. So the card.
So that's the card.
Yeah.
And this is the sticker for your ID.
Yeah.
I think it's very important when you considering registering to think to yourself, if I had organ failure and I required an organ to save my life, would I receive an organ? And if you would receive an organ, why wouldn't you donate an organ?
Yeah, it's just that, I mean, there's a lot of issues around beliefs and that sort of thing. And maybe let's talk about the process now. If I become a regular organ donor, or I'm sorry, I register to become an organ donor, and I get involved in a motor vehicle accident, and let's say I've registered to donate my liver, will that delay my funeral arrangements and that sort of thing?
No, it wouldn't. Like I mentioned earlier on, that is one of the myths.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't delay your funeral. It's very important that your family knows that you are registered as an organ donor, so that they are ready for the question if they're asked at your time of death. And if they know that you want to be an organ donor, then the process will be quicker, because they will be ready to say yes when they're asked.
Yeah. Now, will my organs be sold to recipients at all?
No. There's no remuneration at all for organs, and the family wouldn't receive anything. And at the same time, the organ recipient doesn't pay for the organ itself. Organ donation is seen as a gift of life.
What about stem cell donation? Do I get to get some rewards for donating my stem cells?
No. The Sunflower Fund does have to pay a certain fee for you to come on to the registry. So it would be 2,000 Rand, well, about 2,000 Rand that we pay for the tissue testing and that type of thing. But in essence, there is no cost to the donor. Actually, not in essence, that's exactly how it is. Yeah. There is no cost to the donor, but there's also no remuneration at all.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds to give your final messages of encouragement to the public. Why should people register to become organ donors?
It's important to register because of the lives that you can save. There's no harm done to you, there's no cost to you, but you can save lives. And an organ donor is a hero because you can save up to 7 lives. And actually donating tissue can improve the lives of up to 60 people. So you're a hero, and it's something to be very, very proud of.
Mandisa?
Stem cell donation is very, very important because if you think about it, a bag of stem cells will literally be saving a life. Plus, it's a great feeling to know that there's somebody who has your exact same DNA that you are helping. That I feel like that's the most awesome thing ever. So yeah, it's very important.
Very profound and very encouraging words. Well, Mandisa Ndovela, Donor Recruitment and Education Specialist from the Sunflower Fund. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And Julian Walker, National Liaison Officer, Organ Donor Foundation. Thank you so much for your time, ladies.
Thank you.
All right. So, folks, it's on that note that we come to the end of our show today. So, give someone a tomorrow. Give someone a gift of love. Donate blood and register as an organ donor. Join us again next week on SABC News. A reminder to please share your views and comments via our Facebook page, SABC Health Talk, and follow us on Twitter at SABC Health Talk. Remember that you can watch repeat of today's show at 2 p.m. and on Thursday morning at 5 a.m. I'm Dr. Salomatong. Thank you so much for watching, and please do take care. And remember, make a donation, register to become an organ donor, and please donate blood.
50,000. The Organ Donor Foundation needs to sign on 50,000 new organ donors. We are waiting for you to sign on right now. Small children are dying a painful death. Fragile parents must be urgently saved. Register today. Do it online or toll-free. It costs nothing. One organ donor can save 7 lives. Invite 7 of your friends to register too. Do it now. It is so easy.
The cotton field story is being told through patchwork by artists to celebrate the diaspora in America.
Vitally important in telling the stories of what is happening in the refugee crisis, with migration, with questions of immigration, and I believe I, as an artist, have a moral obligation to tell these stories.
It's through paper, brush, and paint that the different faces of women are reflected by this prolific painter.
Women face a lot of challenges, discrimination, sexism, and a lot of other negative. In my paintings, I try to send a different message.
Place of the G-Men and Father Huddleston's mission. Place of Balanski's and the Odin Cinema, and let's never
Join Refilwe for that 1-hour weekly dose of arts and entertainment news every Saturday at 12.
For Spile, giving up was no option even in times of need.
If it wasn't for the opportunity that was given to me by the taxi owner, late Mr. Sibego, maybe I wouldn't be where I am.
The taxi industry is also occupied by people with a vision.
There are quite a few taxi drivers with at least matric, and they had a next door neighbor who owned taxis, and they asked him for a job.
He now owns a law firm, and he believes that challenges are meant to be conquered.
Once you step on top of them, you are able to be on another level, and they